Boom. Hey guys, I'm here. It's Brock Boland. You know me as the Lifetarian, and I'm about to introduce you to a beautiful new friend of mine, actually, Meera Allen. Meera is an artist. She does a few amazing things, and I'm actually going to share the background story to how we met because I kind of find it interesting. These things happen a lot in my life and possibly in yours too, Meera. But my, my friend was at a restaurant called Earth to Table, and he was sitting there and he got into this conversation because one of his dreams is to have an electric combi. And he wants to have an electric powered van, like a combi, like a Volkswagen. And he's sitting there having that conversation. Somehow you guys got talking. And he ended up with, rather than one, he ended up with two business cards. And he goes, oh, it must be one was meant for you, Brock. When I walked in 10 minutes later, I just missed you then. And he gave me two business cards. I was driving around in my rental car throughout Sydney, and I actually gave you a quick call. And then turns out you were going to a party that I'd been invited to, but didn't actually see the invite on Facebook. But we missed each other at Earth to Table. We missed each other at the party. But here we are right now on Zoom. Welcome to the call. Tell us.
Thank you. Technology.
How good's technology?
Yeah, I love it. Thank you for introducing me to this Zoom thing. Yeah.
That's cool. So tell us a bit about what's going on in your life right now. What are you up to?
Wow. It's funny, in the back of my cards it says ignite the spark of change, and I'm really going through the epitome of change right now, and I think a lot of people at the moment are. We're on the eve of the new moon as well, so there's always a new start about to happen tomorrow. A lot of change in career, change in relationship, change in residence, change in pretty much everything except for my car and my clothing. Change in everything. I used to teach a lot of yoga, and now I'm shifting completely to music and sound, and it feels like that's where I'm meant to go.
So cool. For the people who are watching right now, let's just get straight into some powerful questions, because the whole purpose of these conversations, it's one, we get to know each other better and it's fun for us, but two, it's everyone watching right now. I want to give people as much value right now, because there's people right now, they could be in business, they could be in a career, they could be doing something, and I'm assuming you've been through a few changes in your life, and this is another one. For sure, right? And now what's the process for you? How do you make it through those experiences? What's your
I think, number one, like we were talking about actually just before we started this video, was keeping myself hydrated as much as possible when a massive change happens. So cheers to your coconut water, to your amazing water. Keeping yourself hydrated. But the biggest thing for me with change, other than hot water in the morning and water a day and hot water at night, a lot of hot water and honey and lemon. I think truly the support from loved ones and the closest friends and family and the strangers that you meet, and your service in your purpose and your dharma. So if I didn't get to teach my people with autism, if I didn't get to teach my Wednesday night yins, if I didn't get to sing for my 6:30 a.m., I think giving that sense of service and purpose, I wouldn't be able to get through the change, because they become my constant in that massive world of variables. My boyfriend or partner's left, or I'm going through a divorce, or I've changed country, or sold off everything, or whatever the thing is, which I've done all of the above. So I think when those things happen, your closest handful of friends that have seen you, for the past 20 years or whatever, and they know you so deeply. Of course, my mum and dad, and my meditation practice. Probably meditation practice first and foremost, above everything, if there was a hierarchy.
It's huge when we look at. That's why I love having these conversations. I love when people ask me this, because then you start to articulate what it is that you do different to who you were 5 years ago.
Ooh, you make me think of who I was 5 years ago. Wow.
We get so in the now. We're always in the now. We're so in the now, so in the present, paying attention to that. We lose sight of how far we've come. You think about us.
5 years ago. I was married. I have a stepdaughter. I was working managing at the Intercontinental Hotel, a day spa, a health club. I had 12 staff. I had a whole lot of responsibility. I was still teaching yoga in between. Was being like the power mum, the power wife, the power. And I certainly wasn't singing. I certainly wasn't singing.
Mm.
I was very busy, but not busy with purpose. I was busy with busyness and
Yeah.
responsibilities, and I was always on my phone. I wouldn't just put on airplane mode and disappear the way I do now.
Mm.
Yeah, very different world, dealing with the Intercontinental Hotel, a lot of VIPs, a lot of celebrities,
Mm.
and just maintaining this kind of this. Wait, ready? You're going to see it. This is happening live for you. Okay, this is what would happen. Okay, ready? It was this. Yes, this is Odyssey Health Club and Spa. Sure thing, we can book that in for you right away. Definitely. Yeah, we can do a double massage in room at 11 p.m. Yeah, definitely. Oh, it's a VIP room? Definitely. We can do that. A deep tissue sports therapist? Yes, we can do that. 90 minutes, possibly to 2 hours? Oh, fantastic. We can do that. Okay, great. We'll send them. Oh, and that was an alias name. Got it. Okay, thank you. Bye. Hang up. Make the calls, have it happen, calling hotel, get these towels sent up there, this is happening, oh my God, it's 5 minutes before, and then all this would be happening, but the whole time you just have to be so, everything's fine.
On the outside, you're looking comfortable, confident, but on the inside, yeah. Mm.
And you are not expressing that emotion, and you can tell by my face, I'm a really emotional person, so what's happening inside is really obvious to the outside world, So that was a real challenge to have that constant, professionalism 5-star hotel thing. So that 5 years ago, and then coming home and then cooking dinner and having a little stepdaughter, which is, shout out to Keisha. So it was a difficult time, and the marriage was very strained, and and there were other problems going on as well, which I was, constantly like, oh no, it's not happening. So yeah, now it's 5 years later, and now initiated in the past for meditation practice that I strongly believe in. That gives me that center. Life is very different.
So different. It's just fun to ask that question because often we don't go there. It's interesting.
I just even me thinking about it makes me go,
whoa,
what a different life, huh? Wow.
And how grateful are you for your life right now when you look at that?
Oh my gosh, when even meeting like that at Earth to Table in Bondi Junction, sitting there, I was having morning tea or afternoon tea with Simon Borg-Olivier, who's always been one of my people that I looked up to, like, wow, what a cool, amazing human. I never thought that I could consider him a friend and a mentor in my life, just like an everyday person, and just be like, hey, Simon, how are you feeling today about the Instagram yogi? It's pretty weird world, hey? Be really honest and go, I'm just cracking about it because it's just so weird and mongy and superficial. I don't know what to do, So, to see my life like this, and even with Bondi Beach Radio, getting to interview such inspirational musicians and artists and people that I've admired for so long, and then there they are standing with you for 2 hours, and you go, oh wow, I can just chat to them, and share my heart with them, and they share their inspirational stories. So they're not just inspiring me, they're inspiring heaps of people, and they're right here with me in the studio, So these things, 5 years ago, if you said that, oh, Meera, you're going to have a radio show and a sports car, and you're going to be living the dream and heading off to Europe and doing your thing and singing with like yoga people, I'd just be like, oh, sorry, what? I'm going to make dinner for my family. I think you're on drugs. Yeah, I'd just be like, what? I'm at the Intercontinental at 6 a.m. What are you talking about?
Yeah, it's people, once we get into that mindset, it's people doing like, this is how I get my money. This is how the money shows up. This is where I need to be. It's almost regimented. It's so orchestrated and mapped out. And some people thrive on that. I'm not saying if you're watching this right now and that's you, some people are going to thrive off that, but that's not for most people. So many people have a...
Like, are you saying thrive off orchestrated? Wait.
Some. Oh, product placement. So many people love, like knowing this is what I'm going to do this time. This is what I'm going to do this time. This is what I'm going to do this time. That absolute certainty. So this is what I want to speak to, rather than staying where we were 5 years ago. What were you able to do that all of a sudden allowed you to allow a whole lot more uncertainty into your life? Because you've probably got about 50 million times more uncertainty in your life right now, but you're happy with it.
Yes. There's a lot of uncertainty right now. I don't even know where I'm living day to day at the moment. Although I have 4 sets of house keys that people have given me. That's lovely. but I don't know where I'm living. I don't know where I'm moving to. All I know is Europe is on the cards at the end of June, and
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I know my week to weeks, but definitely having time with a lot of nature
Mm-hmm.
has been like ocean has been a really, really big factor.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, and you know that too. Like
Mm-hmm.
ocean is huge. If I haven't been swimming this much, I probably would have had a breakdown of some kind and meditating and having that internal time
Mm-hmm.
so that I'm able to truly give. And, you know, with a lot of us at the moment, I feel for me anyway, I've personally been burning the candle at both ends quite a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so, you know, early risers and then really late nights. So we're minimizing our minor sleep, but we're increasing our time in nature and our time to have meditation and quiet respite. So using airplane mode has certainly been a grand tool. And then connecting with like-minded individuals, you know, that aren't, you know, having drugs and alcohol or smoking or meat or chicken or whatever, you know, whatever that animal product they're consuming. So just being around a lot of high vibrational souls that are not in the cliche, like, oh, I'm so high vibrational, like, like, no. I mean, like, high vibrational, like, I can sit and talk to them plain as day. They're still, you know, earning their money through their passion and purpose. They're still paying off their bills and they're still on top of their life. And they're very grounded people in the world. And I think that's something that it's nice to clarify. I mean, people sometimes say, you hear a lot, like, you know, I'm so conscious, I'm so spiritual. And it's like, well, everybody who's living and breathing is already spiritual.
Mm-hmm.
Big deal. You're spiritual? Yes, so is the next person.
We all are.
So is the guy in the pub, you know. So that's what I've been really just really connecting to grounded spirituality, practical ways, like grounding, literally having my feet on the earth, eating really yummy food. I've been really having a lot of quinoa. And having really solid conversations about work. I've just had a great meeting this morning with the people that are doing Heart Space in Sydney and combining that with Heart Dancers in Sydney. So that's been a beautiful thing. And that meeting happened through spontaneity, just by sitting and eating at About Life and having a coconut chai. And I was having a meeting with Sandra Morales, and this guy was sitting. We had a shared table with all these people, and the guy that was right opposite us, I looked at his food and I was like, "Ooh, that looks like nice quinoa." And we got to talking, and he was like, "Oh, hey, you know, I'm Marty from Heart Space," and we were like, "Wow, Meera, Sandra from Heart Dancers," you know, it was like boom, 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 and it all just went. And the synchronicities, like what you're talking about. What's been your latest synchronicity that you want to share with us?
A couple of synchronicities. I'm going to share one point first, just to bring that back, what we just talked about then. A lot of people go around, I'm spiritual, I'm conscious, I'm blah, blah, blah. The people that I spend the most time with that are probably just on it, never talk about it. You think about someone comes and stays in your house, a new roommate, they're going to sit there with you and they'll tell you they're clean. They'll tell you they're tidy. They'll tell you all these things because they're not them.
100%.
If you are something, you don't bang on about it. You're just like, cool, I'm just a student on the path, loving the dream, whatever it happens to be. And yeah, it's an interesting one, huh? Cool.
It is. And yeah, that rings true for me because, you know, like I'm from a strict Indian family that are born veggie. Like I've never had meat, chicken, fish, alcohol, or cigarettes in my house since I'm a baby. Like, why would it even be there, you know? So for me, I grew up with it. It's the norm. I don't care. Like, if someone goes, "Oh my gosh, you're vegetarian or you vegan?" I'm like, I don't know. Like, I'm just eating my normal food. Like, so it seems so weird to even talk about that. Yeah. So that's true. Like, and people sometimes shocked. They're like, "Oh, you've never eaten an egg? Oh my God!" And it's
like,
right? Well, I'm like, and I can't drink coffee either. You know. And that's just how I am, you know, because I get the shakes. You know, I've tried it. And it's ain't no thing like a chicken wing from Burger King. Like, it isn't. And that's a good point. It isn't anything. It's just, it's not a discipline. It's a freedom.
Preference. I like preference as well. You know, freedom or preference, using that like rather than intention, but just it is what it is. Fun. Cool. My biggest synchronicity. You want to know what it is?
Yeah.
Cool. So there's these guys, Alexi and Preston, they run around the world and they talk about this thing called the bridge, and they're artists, but they're coaches and facilitators too. and lovely people. Anyway, my friend from California, Andrew, who's a guy I bump into when I'm in Cali, like literally bump into. Then I'm at Bondi, and one of the clients I'm calling didn't answer their phone, so I walked down the beach and bumped into him on Bondi Beach. That was cool. And
like, why are you calling me? You're here.
everyone keeps like suggesting I got to meet these guys, Alexi and Preston. Then one of the girls I'm mentoring right now, she's like, Brock, I really admire this Alexi girl. I'm like, cool, I'll interview her, I'll catch up, and you will too. Believe it. And the cool thing is, they've been facilitating around the country with these other guys teaching a workshop. And we're like, wow. So I'm telling the whole background of this story because otherwise it won't make sense.
Yes.
Then one of our friends shared a video of the guys that they've been facilitating workshops with.
Yes.
Which is really cool. And then Christy was watching that video. It was on YouTube. One of our friends, Annalisa, she'd been to the workshop. There's this other couple that happened to be at the workshop. And so Christy's watching this video. 30 minutes later, after she watches the video, they're from Santa Monica, California.
Yeah.
30 minutes later, they walk into our house.
I love that.
And the logical thing is
they're just like, there they are at the door.
They're on YouTube, and then they're at our house. And logically, we do Airbnb at the house. We've got a big house. It's beautiful. And we had so much fun in California with Airbnb. We went, well, let's just open up our space. And if people are amazing, they'll come and visit. And the people that are not will go somewhere else.
Yeah.
And these guys, they literally looked at Airbnb, and they even had a free place to stay with someone else. And they looked at it and they go, we want to stay there because it feels abundant.
Yeah, wow.
Our preference is we're only going to stay at places that feel abundant. And there they are, and
that's awesome.
And then at the time we were together, I invited out one of my friends who's a Qigong master, and we went out to a creek and we stayed up late, and he did some stuff that he does with them late at night. And then
his name wasn't John Rotman by any chance, was it?
No.
Okay. I was like,
Ryan Nasser, a gentleman that I know, and then another friend, Deborah West. And the next night we went and did the Lucia light machine. These guys came to my house, booked into Airbnb, and literally just jammed out all weekend with this amazing stuff. They were stoked. And now they're in Bali, no doubt doing the same thing.
Yeah.
With the full moon. Is it tonight? The eclipse tonight or tomorrow?
Tomorrow.
And apparently all of Bali shuts down for it.
Oh, yeah, and it goes really, really quiet, and a lot of tourists I heard leave, but it's so sacred to actually be there. I know that the new moon will be at 12:25 p.m. over Sydney Eastern Standard Time. So that for you would be 11:25 p.m. tomorrow in the day, in the morning.
Yeah, right. Did you ever think you'd be having conversations like this? When you think about you 5 years ago, 10 years ago?
See, I was always having these conversations.
Me too.
These conversations have always been because my parents and I, we get into these deep conversations at 11 o'clock at night. We'll start getting into the conversations of spirituality, and we just don't stop. We start talking about the journey of the soul starting from Ajna and piercing beyond, and where do we go from there? In the expansiveness of our meditation practice, and the Maya and the illusion of which we live in, and the congruency between thought, word, and deed. That's always been conversations we had since we were children. So in that way, those conversations have always been happening. The only difference in my life now, I've noticed I'm having them more frequently with people that I don't really know. And like yourself, hello. But we know each other because innately we are all one massive soul. So that's the beauty of, I think, this era that we're finishing Kali Yuga and entering the era of Satyug. So Sat meaning truth, and Yoga of this era it's inevitable that we go this way. It's inevitable that all of us souls will go through this evolutionary process of connecting and having these deeper conversations, and then living the conversations in day-to-day life, without having to say, oh, I am a raw vegan, blah, blah, blah. It's like, well, you just are. You are a human, and you're a being, and you're nature, and you're natural, and so be it, And I think this is where the more it's spreading, the lighter that we go, we get to ascend together. Not one soul is left behind,
I like that. I'm curious to ask you now, this is the next one I want to go to.
Yes.
Just for those people who are watching right now, and they might be at a space in their life where they've got to change something. For some people it's easy because everything in their life's going wrong. And that's, even though that's...
Change the whole doing?
That's just a viewpoint. But you know, I've got clients I'm working with right now, and they've got the $8 million a year business or the $20 million a year business, whatever it happens to be. And
Yeah.
you know, these guys that I work with, and there's stuff that's got to change for them too. Not because they've run out of money, not because life's tough. Life's amazing, but this deep burning within them knows that something different is available.
I,
How do you
I,
feel, you know, talking about purpose or dharma before? How do
yeah.
you feel these different things? You know, you've got a feeling to go to Europe. We talk about feelings or intuition or awareness. It's a big question right now to jam out, but let's go
Yeah.
there.
God love you, Brock. You don't even know me. Look at you.
Boom.
Yeah, boom.
You don't even know me.
Okay, so there's this thing that I've been living by. Like my business is called Manifesting Destiny. It's been that for like 10 years, you know. But always more as a yoga teacher. And before that, I had a numerology column in the paper and all this kind of stuff. And I learned numerology from my mom and blah, blah, blah. So went off most of that in 2012 and just more focused on yoga, the meditation. And I used to be a graphic designer a million years ago, and I learned a lot about color vibration and color theory. This is going to the answer. So I started to notice different signs at different times that are so clear. So whether it comes from, you know, I did quite at one stage quite a lot of psychic work, for psychic, you know, reading like palms and doing the numerology and tarot and all that kind of stuff. And it was a time when I was doing a lot of yoga. I was celibate and very internal in my practice and spent many hours dwelling inside my meditation. And developed a strong, what we would call, I guess people call it the sixth sense. But I always say manifesting is done with the five senses. Because, you know, as you know really well, what you speak about, you bring about. What we listen to, who we talk to, and what music goes through our ears, what we feed in through our brain comes through that sonics in our ears. What we look at, what we read, what we watch in our movies, impressionable into the mind. And of course, you know, what we touch, what we feel, what we connect to, how we connect with leaves, plants, nature, ocean, water, so the kinesthetic part of us. So if we use our five, and of course what we eat, and what we smell even. So the five senses is how we manifest in the physical realm. But this limits us. You know, our choice of creation is in our point of discipline and power of what we choose to do with these five senses daily. Some people might want to eat McDonald's every day, and that's their discipline. To do that, that is still their discipline. They're still doing it daily. It's their daily practice. That's their daily practice. And they get to enjoy the benefit of whatever that daily practice for them in their discipline brings. So, and I'm not to judge if someone wants to have McDonald's and that's part of their daily discipline, awesome, or Coca-Cola or whatever you want to have, or their daily practice is watching the nighttime news. Go for it. Put that in your subconscious when you go to bed, you know. So that's what happens in our five senses. But the point of difference for when there's a tumultuous time, there's a huge point of change that's going on, not just internally in your emotions or in your mind or in your external environment, or as a reaction to something that's happened. Someone's been diagnosed with cancer, or you've been in a car accident, or you're that moment of, you're at the point of death maybe, you know, which has happened to me, and you have to leave behind the five senses completely, because it's irrelevant, the five senses, because it's the only opportunity now to connect to something higher than those five senses. Doesn't matter what you're doing. The pratyahara begins, so the fifth limb of yoga begins, and then we start to realize we get that innate, deep, concentrated focus. And that's when we go into that dharana. Everything becomes more single-pointed. Everything slows right down. So that's why, you know, when people are loving a song or music and they feel like, man, that 5 minutes, just that song, wish it went on forever. You know, they want to dance to it forever. But how come when you're waiting in the queue at the bank, 5 minutes feels like it's not the same 5 minutes? It's like, oh, man, I've been here for like 10 minutes. And you've got time, you know, and 5 minutes is actually so elongated. But this is because, of course, time and space is not real. So it's all relative to what our subconscious is doing and how we are able to observe. So using the sixth sense is definitely in that concentrated point of focus, and we start to become expansive in our peripheral vision.
Mm.
We start to become aware innately of moment to moment, nanosecond time incidents.
Mm-hmm.
So you become aware of the bird, you become aware of the sounds. And this is what I've been learning a lot from with Binaway, this Indigenous singer that really grateful to spend time with her. And you become so innately aware of your surroundings, the serenity and the spaciousness and the non-spaciousness of it. And then you start to open in that focus, in that meditative space, that from beyond contemplation. It's beyond contemplation because the mind is still. And then that sixth sense is activated, and it could be our daily practice. It could be our daily discipline. And when we go through those changes, we start to see and observe it from a feeling of already knowing that we're being prepared for the next right step. And that deep sense of that knowing comes often at the most, well for me, at the most tumultuous time where I have no stability. And that stability is really from a deep residing place within. And that is using my sixth sense and switching off my five senses. Really using Pratyahara has been a grand tool. And airplane mode on your phone. Yeah, that's it.
Airplane mode's golden, but a lot of people won't give themselves permission for that. Like, but people need to contact me. People need to, that thing. Like, people almost feel a sense of responsibility or something, that thing. Like a lot of people I suggest to switch their phone off. Or one of my practices is I don't turn my phone off for at least the first hour of the day unless I'm on something. Like just as a blanket rule, first hour or two of the day, I tend to leave it off.
Yeah, Brock, I think we should set up a challenge. Manifest your destiny challenge. Can you keep your phone off for 1 hour upon waking every morning for a week?
I like it. Do it.
Let's set up a challenge. Or airplane mode it. I think a lot of yogis do that anyway. We all airplane mode our phones.
I'm making a note right now.
Oh, we're gonna catch up in a week. And how'd your week go?
Well, we can do that. I'm thinking a challenge for the world, not just for us.
Oh, right. Well, everyone's with us. So and we'll get a response and see how much Pratyahara has helped the greater world.
Yeah, cool. I'll pop it in. Satya Yara, tell me about that. Is that stillness, or is that a meditation practice, or is that just switching off?
Pratyahara. Pratya, 5.
Pratya?
So Pratyahara is the fifth limb in the practice of the 8 limbs of yoga.
And is that Sanskrit?
Yeah.
I love it.
So yeah, Pratyahara. Hara is always just like bringing in the discipline of, like the reining in of and the focus in of. And Pratya is just the discipline and the reining in of the 5. And what are they talking about is the 5. So if you quickly look through the limbs of yoga, the yama, the disciplines, niyama, the support to those disciplines of how to live your life and conduct yourself in a high moral way. The third is asana, which I think in the West, you've got asana down. It's okay.
Yeah.
You can go upside down. You can become contortionist. Great. So asana is the third limb, and the fourth limb is. Have I missed something? Pranayama.
Pranayama, breath.
Yeah. The breath. And it's funny because pranayama doesn't actually mean breath. Because prana, I can sit still and be breathing so shallow in my meditation, but my prana is so active. So that's a form of pranayama, stopping yourself from breathing.
Yeah, wow.
It's still pranayama because prana is just our chi, our energy, our life force. And the yama, pranayama, is still the discipline of the energy of our life force where we want to put it. So pranayama happens with or without breathing. Breathing optional. The fifth, and Simon Borgolivio always says that, and he goes underwater. He does a whole practice for 20 minutes underwater, and he's just not even breathing. So this is another level. Don't try that at home. And then Pratyahara comes after. So first, getting your yama right, your discipline, ahimsa and your santosha, your contentment, your brahmacharya, your withdrawing of the sexual tendencies and drawing it upward. All these things, aparigraha, not holding stuff, letting go, asteya, satya, truthfulness, all these things. The yamas and niyamas, our foundation, asana to condition the body, so literally you can sit cross-legged, and then past that point we have pranayam, the ability to channel where you want to take your prana, your energy, your life force, Then pratyahara, we withdraw everything in. We close off the five senses. After we close off the five senses, we go into dharana. Dharana in that focus, just to get that concentrated focus. It's that vacuum so that we can focus. Yeah, do that. Sound effect again. Yeah, so we focus right inside ajna, and then once we get that focus inside ajna, we don't care what's happening with the rest of the body. The rest of the body is irrelevant. It's gone. It doesn't even matter. Our legs are numb anyway. It doesn't matter. You can't feel anything. And then from ajna, the dharana is simply that focus. And sometimes it's a black wall of focus that we're focusing on. And then we start in dhyana, and we start traveling inside and beyond in the third eye, in that realm. And then past dhyana, and of course the enlightenment, the samadhi, the bliss, and when time and space is completely illusionary. And we don't just know it in the mind, we experience it truly.
I love that. I love just hearing. It's almost as if.
I don't know why the phone cut out then. The Zoom cut out.
Could you hear me?
I just heard you said it's almost as if.
Oh, I just love when, people have done things for generations within their family. Like a lot of the learnings you've had, those conversations you had with your parents. It's been interesting for me. I grew up in a very religious family. And so many great teachings, so many great lessons from the Bible, and so many to put aside to see what else is outside.
It's and absolutely, like the word, the holy locus, the Holy Spirit. That's what is that? That's the Shabad. That's the sound. That's the current that's pulling us. The formless, the nameless one. It's in every single soul. Every human form has it. Not the animal forms don't have it, but the human. That's why we're so lucky. We are incarnated as human beings. We can move in past instinct to intuition to lead us to open and experience the locus, to experience the Holy Spirit, to experience the Shabad, the soul, the nirvana, the bliss, the 1,000-petal lotus opening, like whatever you want to call it in whatever bloody language, it doesn't even matter. The truth is truth without the name.
I love all the different books just to read that, the Tao Te Ching, there's so many amazing gifts that people have left for us. This is what I want to talk about next. You as an artist. What's the thing, when you're making the music, when you're on the radio, when you're doing your thing, whether it be yoga or numerology, what's the feeling, or what's the thing you want to share with people?
Love. I used to sculpt quite a lot with plaster. I've actually got I don't know if anyone can see my old hands. Got really, really old, wrinkly knuckles. I don't know if you can see, but I've got quite a young kind of a head and a young kind of body, but my hands are like, since I'm little, really old, but they're really leathery. I don't know if you can hear that. It's like a leathery kind of like, I've got these hardcore, like, my mum used to say Kambali is like, the worker girl that scrubs the floors. Like, that's my hands, right? And I could sculpt, but when I would sculpt, I'd feel the plaster about to set, and I'd work at that point where it was just at that point to set, and it would actually, the temperature of plaster, so those of you that work with plaster, rendering walls even, was that point where the plaster's about to set and it gets kind of warm and malleable, and it's just about to firm up and it gets quite warm. And there's I used to feel like my blood and my hands were no different to the plaster that was setting. And it was like lovely, sensual feeling. And the same thing goes for music. So I've channeled quite a few songs, and I wrote them down in 2008. And I'm only getting them recorded now. So it's a slow process. But I really feel like there's this deep sense of love that all artists can't help but want to express this thing that must be created. Or mothers feel it when they give birth. I mean, who wants to go through that much agony and labor and have a baby? But there's some kind of love driving that. You know? So I think that's what it is about. I think all artists have a plentiful abundance of love that they wish to express and share with the world at large, you know? Yeah, so I think that's what's the driving force. As corny as it sounds, there are many emotions that are part of love. There could be anger, there could be joy, there could be pleasure, there could be whatever it may be. But I think it's just that burning, there comes a point where that artist has to expunge what it is that needs to be first, or spoken, or read, or painted, or drawn, or written, or even baked. You know, sometimes I have this uncontrollable, I've got to bake, you know, and I have to bake some people something. And, go drop it off at Toyota or whatever, whatever. Like, you know, so I think there's a deep sense of I must share this gift that I can give. Yeah.
I love that. Next one I'm going to hit you with is the money game, because that's a big one.
Yes.
For a lot of artists, the struggling artists. I was talking to one of my guys on my team, my marketing manager, and he's been an artist and he's performed on stage. He literally saw John Butler Trio performing. He goes, I'm not meant to be in the audience. I'm meant to be up there performing. So he learned how to play the guitar and sing. And then he got up, not that day, but in the future. Then he started promoting bands like Cat Empire. He's a ridiculously cool guy.
Awesome.
And at the same time, he talks about, you know, that's perception or story of the struggling artist. And I want to talk about the money game, because I know you live in the land of abundance. So let's talk about that a bit. Money games.
Okay. This has been my roller coaster for a long time, and it really is relevant to what I am investing in my thoughts of my mind, literally moment by moment. So I have done this to myself, where I've played like a 35-minute hypnosis, put these earphones on actually, and gone to sleep, had no money in the bank, you know, I had a partner that left or something, and I'm going, how am I going to pay this much rent? Like, it's due tomorrow morning. Oh my God. Bank accounts are like crazy. Credit cards are like crazy. And I've been like, handbrake feeling, you know, I call it analysis paralysis. And I would literally just go, right, I'll lay back, look at the sky or the ocean, and just go, okay, universe, I ask, what do I need to do right now? Now ask for that abundance. And often I get a random answer. Like, it could just be like, get in your car and drive to like, or whatever. And so I just get this innate feeling, like it's not even like a voice in my head going, Meera, I am the voice of God and I'm telling you to do this. It's not like that. It's just this moment of like, right, I need to get up and go wash my hair in the shower and wash off this negative crap from my, you know, mountain. I have a mountain of big hair, you know, which I've tucked away to try and be tidy for this. You know, and it would just be something as clear as that, or it would be something like, you know, in that time where I was really struggling, I actually started doing Airbnb, and I had the Indonesian consulate stay at my home, and he and his wife happened to know the people where I was teaching mums and bubs yoga, which was at an Indonesian yoga dance studio in Dulwich Hill, which is such an obscure little studio, but who would know this? And these 6 degrees of separation happened, and I ended up having the Indonesian consulate stay over at Maruba, where I was living at the time, in the beach park. And like you said, your Airbnb, and you're attracting people to abundance. And, you know, I had left everything for them to use, and everything that was gorgeous of mine. I was like, you know, feel free that this is your home, you know. And of course, I only attracted wonderful people. Some of which are, you know, become my good friends, you know, really happy. But genuinely, there were those times when I actually had to plug in my earphones, lay back as I fell asleep. I'm a big believer of the subconscious mind. And you know what? You may as well do it while you're sleeping. Like, I haven't got that much time in a day. Sometimes I'm from yoga place to yoga place. I'm singing at 6:30 in the morning. I'm at the sunrise thing. I'm at Bondi Beach for this thing. And then I have to be at this other thing in the evening. I've got this other event. I've got a lunch with someone else. And I'm kind of like, you know, I'm like in a dress, in a yoga, in a dress, in a graphic design outfit. And I'm like, oh my God, what happened? So that's my 8 personalities.
Mm.
So you never kind of know, but those nighttime, like just as I go to bed,
Mm.
and I listen to these hypnosis binaural beats, big fan of binaural beats,
Mm.
and I allow myself to drop into sleep with that playing
Mm.
abundance to my subconscious. And I kid you not, Brock,
Mm.
the next morning, money's in the bank account. Like, try this at home, everyone. Like,
Mm.
because we don't know sometimes what sits in our subconscious patternings. And from when I was young, you know, my parents were like, "Oh, you're not going to make money as an artist," because I did 3 in art
Mm.
at school and 3 in business studies.
Mm.
3 in art, 3 in business studies. 2
Mm.
totally different worlds. And I just knew I wanted to be an artist. I always knew. But of course, I went and did the corporate world and graphic design and blah, 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 all that. And lived a very conventional,
Yeah.
good Indian life, you know. And I realized it was untruth.
Mm.
So everything sort of handbraked for me. And it was 2005 where I shifted and went to the ashram in India with my mum. And I quit corporate world and never came back.
Mm.
And I did go skyrocketing into debt, like
Mm-hmm.
maxed out credit cards, and it was the worst. And then to see it all shifting, you know, it's been years, but it's been a deep shift in the subconscious investments of the thoughts and the beliefs as well as the people.
Mm-hmm.
And it really acknowledging nature. Like you really sit and you watch the ocean.
Mm.
The waves are never going to run out.
Mm.
The waves will not run out of that abundance for you. You will never run out of a wave. It's not like the universe is going to go, right, we want you all to stop now. That's, you know, our blood is always going to flow.
Mm.
And money and water, let's pour ourselves another bit of a substance. I'm such a nut. Okay.
From our sponsor.
Running joke. Yeah. Dr. Masaruto Emoto told me something as well. So I've got one of these water bottles that I use, and it's got a hot pink cover, and it's glass inside, right? And I always pour boiling hot water in it first thing in the morning, and I make sure I get through that water throughout my day. And I always put the intention in that bottle, in the glass. And I ask the glass in that bottle, I'm like, you take care of me, you know, and I put the vibration in that glass. You know, whatever intention you want to put it, you want to put abundance. But I always do think about Emoto's words, you know, we're drinking the vibration of the conscious thought in our liquid. You know, every single water crystal is there, and we are absorbing the water crystals, you know, in all of our liquid in our body, including our eyeballs, you know, including our kidneys and all of our joints and every little bit of, you know, this beautiful liquid that's moving through our spine. And like, we are so liquid. Of course we're abundant. Like, of course we're abundant. You know, we are constantly giving back every time we go to you know, we're giving back that abundance. Every time we sweat, every time we have tears streaming down our face, like this beautiful woman this morning just cried at the sunrise during our during the Heart Dancers yoga thing, and you know, she just tears streaming down her face, and she said, I always feel so blessed. You know, she's a Brazilian girl. She's like, I feel so blessed when I have tears in my yoga practice. Sometimes I feel like I'm fine, but then all of a sudden a big wave of emotion come to me, and I was like, you're rad. I was just like, wow, you're so awesome. Like, she was just Mother Earth rocking it out.
I love her.
Yeah, she was beautiful, tiny little Brazilian thing. Just tears are just streaming down her face, and I was like, and she just let them run, you know. And I thought, there it is. There's your abundance. You know, the liquid that comes out of our eyeballs, you know.
And when I start my day, unless I get to goosebumps, unless I get to tears, I know I'm not starting my day powerfully.
Wow, you have
like I just do it. Like now, if you look closely, you'd see it. Like I get goosebumps as I think about it. I don't know if you can see it right there, but I get the goosebumps on my arms. And those things is that I always saw these clues. You know, if you start your day and you end your day powerfully, I noticed that if I woke up and I was jamming, all of a sudden the whole day would flow. And as I put my head on the pillow, if I'd messed up at all, I'd just sit there and I'd change it. Because I started to have this belief that we always talk about the now and we consider the now goes into the future. But I look at the now as also, well, it's part of the past as well. It's all the now.
Yeah, it's all the now.
So I started to have that belief that I could change the past, the present, or the future. And I started to play in it. So I'd change experiences and just muck around with things a little bit just to see if it was possible. to play in the alchemy of things. And so that expression of what you're doing right now, listening to the binaural beats and so forth, I was doing it in other ways where I'd just sit there and I'd harmonize right as I put my head on the bed. And what I found too, and which I love now, is, you know, those times when Airbnb some weeks, you know, over times where I really stretched myself, that was what paid the rent rather than dipping into savings.
Yeah.
I was like, cool, I've got the savings there. I could tap into that, but this thing's going to work. And now that I'm, you know, doing well in business, life's good. I'm just going, well, it's an extra thing. And I used to judge myself because I'd travel around and stay on my friends' couches because I'm like, well, don't really have enough to spend $200 a night in a hotel. Now I could. I sometimes do that. You know, I'm staying at a resort next week, but half the time I want to go and stay at my friend's house because it's like being on school camp.
Well, that's the thing, you know, this is the tumultuous ride I'm in at the moment. And, you know, it's so beautiful. And what's beautiful, I've noticed, like, I'm giving back more. And people are like, please stay at mine. Can you come stay at mine? Are you going to come to mine? And they're all wanting me to come over because I'll cook like a massive dinner, or I'll do something, or I'll decorate their house while they're at work. Or, you know, I just feel like, you know, I can still fit this in. I've got 30 minutes. I can put on some drum and bass. I can make this happen, you know. Yeah, like LDJ Bookham, you're with me, you know, and like we are just, and all of a sudden it just happens, and they're like, oh my God, like my friend Ivana, she's like one of the most beautiful and intuitive massage therapists that I know from back at the Intercontinental Hotel, so she would get given all the VIPs.
Oh, that's how you know her, the girl you were saying the other day when we spoke.
Ivana,
yeah, I added her up on Facebook. Awesome. Yeah, tell me about her.
Yeah, she's, oh my God. Okay, this can tell you about her. My body can speak.
Happy bodies.
Happy bodies, thanks to Ivanushka. So I did a little dance for you, Ivana. You know, there are certain people that are just so humble and professional, loving, energetic. You know, she's a vegan. She trains every morning. You know, hardcore Slovakian woman. You know, she's hardcore. In her training regime, because she loves it. She's like, Mirushka, I love it. I want to train. I want to do handstand. I want to do this. I want to do that. And I'm like, of course you do. But she's like, I don't call myself yogi. I'm not like yogi. You are like yogi, Meera. I'm like, oh my gosh, she's so humble. And, you know, and she can massage 5 people straight in a row, no gap, right?
Yeah, wow.
And she gets given always the toughest clients because she's just so energetically powerful and coupled with her intuition. So at the hotel, of course, all the like attracts like. All the celebrities would always, like all the VIPs that would come through, would have to come through me to book in. And of course, intuitively, I knew I'm not going to give them any old therapist that I'm putting my name to that. You know, so Ivana became like, she still is. She's been there for years. She's still, you know, she's massaged so many people that have crossed this country, that have stayed in that, you know, presidential suite at the Intercontinental, and she's the one that gets to be with those high-end people, and they're all still people, but they're just their time is absolutely sacred, and their time of rejuvenation can be second to none because of the way they live their lives, you know. And I understand if you're holding audiences of, you know, 200,000 people, I understand that, you know. And God, I'm taking Ivana with me when that happens to me, manifesting that. So, you know, I feel like I'm just so grateful that I can call her my friend, and I can get a massage from her. And she knows, she just knows. She, like you said, you know, the people that know, you just doesn't talk about it. You know, I was at work there, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, you just massage Daniel Craig. I believe James Bond is your friend now. You know, like she's like, it's another job, whatever. It's another body, Mirushka. No worries, it's good. He gave me good tips. I think he really liked massage, but he fell asleep. Okay, but I give very deep tissue, you know. And like she was just like so like cool. I'm like, oh my God, like who are you? You know. So she humbles me. And same with like Simon Borg Olivia. You know, these people that they're just so in their art form. And whether they're getting paid tons of money or whether they're getting paid peanuts, man, they're still going to do it every day.
Yeah.
Like, I love that. Like, I think about me, I think I'm still going to get up at 6:30 in the morning this Friday and go to Sukamuka at Bronte and, you know, and start doing my, I'm gonna give the sound, like whether the hard dancers pay me or not. I probably should say that. I'm still gonna be there to serve, because it's my soul's journey. It's my calling. It would be a disservice to myself and to everyone if I don't.
So for those people right now who are doing all this stuff for free and they really would benefit from receiving money for giving their soul's gift and purpose, let's speak to that really quickly.
Okay. Number one, self-love, self-worth. I think if people are really, really stuck, kinesiology helped me on this one a lot, because you could really muscle test and check out, am I worth, I did this recently with my mom, and I was like, what are you worth? Stick out your arm. I was like, 10, 20 bucks, 30 bucks, 40 bucks, 50 bucks, 50 bucks. And I just did it in my head. She didn't know what I got up to. And I was like, you're a brilliant career counselor, but you're charging nothing. I had to tell my mom this conversation. And so that's one way. The body never lies. And if people can get kinesiology done and just get yourself an amount. There was a time when I was doing so many palm readings, and I was doing them at one stage. I went from 1 week getting hot chocolate at Max Brenner when I used to go to Max Brenner. I probably shouldn't. This was many years ago. And I used to get given a hot chocolate. And I would give that girl or whichever girls or group of girls or people that would get my phone number from another lady, and I'd sit there in these coffee shops all around Sydney, and I would do these intense palm readings. And I was just giving confirmation from what they already knew. It was already written on their palm. And the decisions they make was going to change their palms later on. So their palms are going to be different in a year anyway, but whatever. So I was getting literally like a $3 hot chocolate for an hour of my intense time. And I'm driving to them to meet them to their nearest Max or coffee shop, whatever. Within 1 week, I just made a decision. I have too many calls. I have too many palm reading bookings. And I just made the decision. I think I'm worth $2 a minute of my time. I just knew. I was like, this is worth $2 a minute, what I'm giving them, how fast I'm speaking and how much truth I'm giving them, how clear I am. And I took it so seriously. I can't do anything half-assed because that's just not the way I'm built. I just made a decision internally, this is worth 2 minutes. $2 a minute. I just knew. Not realizing that adds up to $120 an hour. I didn't think of that because I was thinking of things in minutes.
400% increase in your price.
Boom. I didn't know because I was just looking at this is worth $2 per minute, and I was never really good at math. And then, boom, I started getting bookings. People were coming to me. I wasn't spending petrol. I wasn't driving around. I wasn't getting fat from hot chocolate. People were coming to me and paying me $120 for an hour session. In 1 week, it changed like that, and my head blew. And I was drinking a lot more water, number one, and I went off milk at that time, actually, just by pure accident. Nothing to really pure accident. And I would drink during the reading. I would get through a full thing of herbal tea or hot water, lemon water. In one reading, I would down a big teapot full of hot water, and that was my abundance. I was drinking my liquid in that time, and it was getting crazy. And that's when I was offered the column for the paper to do the numerology for MX at that time, when I was doing the Good Vibrations column, I think it was. And then when it was time to stop that, it was handbrake, stop. You are no longer taking money for readings. It was just stop. And then my meditation practice started. So the prana I was giving out, so much prana. Here, have some energy, have some truth, have some energy. all that went back to me. Full pratyahara, all went in, and then it all went in and all went up, and then music began. And that's now I know. That's why I knew that's the path.
And I love when people are aligned with that, because I think a lot of people look from the outside and they all of a sudden go, well, now you're making $100,000 a year, $1 million a year, $10 million a year, whatever you happen to be doing, and they see that as a success. But I've always known for myself that some of the most successful times of my life has been when I'm totally broke, living either under the Harbour Bridge or in a national park or whatever, because I knew that was true for me in that moment. I loved it.
Yeah.
I wasn't sitting there going, I'm broke. I was just sitting there going, I'm enchanted. How many people
Mm,
get, like, literally, I did it a while ago where I'd moved out of my house and I lived under the Harbour Bridge.
I
I
love
had, I
that.
had, I had friends I could stay with at the time, you know, it was different friends I could stay with and so forth. And I just go, cool, I love sleeping under the Harbour Bridge. I've actually done it about a year and a half ago. I went and did it again because I love it. You wake up and 5 a.m. there's people running around. The water's like crystal, just so smooth.
Sparkling.
Mm.
Yeah,
And
it's funny.
those
I used to
experiences that
run
are
around
free.
Kirribilli.
Literally
And
at Kirribilli down there.
And where that little domey thing is.
Mm-hmm.
I used to sing in there. I used to sing my first song I ever channeled. I used to live in Cameron,
Mm.
and I would get up at 3:30, 3 o'clock in the morning. My eyes would just be like, "You're awake. You're open." Like clear.
Mm-hmm.
Like you are so awake right now. I was like, okay, I guess I'm awake, you know. And I was living alone at the time,
Mm.
in a tiny little studio, and I would get up, I would drive down to that spot at Kirribilli, and I would sing. Yeah, I would just start singing the lyrics that they would tell me, and I would just be like, I'm gonna take you on a journey. And, the first song started, and yeah, and that song Journey has just gone to America with Million Dollar Bibi in her documentary. So that
Cool.
happened last week Friday. So thank
Oh,
you.
good. Yeah.
Yeah, to Arnold Schwarzenegger, no less. So yeah, so that was big. I never thought Journey was going to go to a mixed martial arts championship to go to freaking Arnold Schwarzenegger's convention or whatever it was. Yeah, I wouldn't have thought a song like that would have
Isn't it
made.
cool though? I'm so blessed.
Yeah. Yeah, you actually look back and go, well, that's pretty crazy. That was that song I channeled that morning. And
Mm. It's so lovely too. Christy was talking about one of her friends, Cassie Mendoza Jones, I think her name is. She's just been featured in the collective. And it was a story like this where she just told the backstory. And I think it'd be nice for you to share with everyone because that whole backstory, people like think you got to be significant and you got to push and you got to do your PR and you got to make it happen, all that sort of stuff. But these
yeah,
things,
opposite.
Mm.
Journey. You know what? I'm gonna show you the actual book. Oh, sorry, went out of frame. Not very good. I'm good for radio. I forget that this is. Um, I'm going to get you the
You can go and come back.
I'll show you the actual original
Mm.
the channel. Okay, hold on one sec.
Mm.
I'll be right back. Now I'm finding it.
So, guys, we've had some powerful information so far. It's been like so inspiring just to connect with a woman, like to see a woman who's so creative, so in a genius, so in a flow. At the moment too, she's going through
Tangled in
be a humbling time.
my anklet, so you can
I
probably hear
just
that.
Yeah, I was just sharing a couple of things with the guys right now. We're off, just saying, you're going through what outwardly some people might think is some challenging times, and you're loving your life, and that's not normal. I'm just celebrating that right now. So just talking to everyone who's watching right now.
Yeah.
And for you guys, thank you so much. You've been watching. We've been on this call for a little while. You guys are still watching. Sometimes they're like 20, 30 minutes. This has gone a bit longer. It's okay.
Sorry.
Show us the book.
All right.
All right.
Can you see that?
Mm.
That's the spine. And now, last week, it fell apart. the whole book, the back of it fell off.
Mm-hmm.
It was an old moleskin that I bought in Detroit at the Van Gogh Museum. Mm-hmm. And I have photographed the pages so that the songs are still in a digital copy. My dad got them. Mm-hmm. And so I channeled in this book. It's the raw silk cover, and it was a beautiful moleskin. I got bored at the Van Gogh Museum exhibition because I felt his energy was a bit whoa. So I couldn't go in the exhibition for very long. I looked at what I could and went, well, I'm going to go to the gift store instead. And that was in Detroit. And then with my cousin. And the first song that I ever wrote in it, I channeled early in the morning. I went to yoga in North Sydney at the time. And I got home and my head was still buzzing. And it was, isn't that funny?
Which yoga class was it?
That was at a power living school, it was power living in Neutral Bay. And I ended up doing my teacher training there, but I hardly teach like that at all anymore now anyway. And so it's this orange pen, I don't know if you could see the orange pen.
Recognize
that. Well, that's the second song I channeled. And it really, I came home from a 6 a.m. or a 6:30 a.m. class, and I put my head down on my futon,
Mm.
and just cried because my head was still like nuts. I was like, wow, I've been to yoga for an hour and a half and I'm still not. Oh, this is when I was working corporate.
Mm.
I'm still not clear. I'm still not. I can't get that dhyanan.
Mm.
You know? And I think in a way it's been a good thing and a bad thing. Like, cause growing up knowing about meditation and watching a parents meditate for 2.5 hours every day is quite confronting as a kid growing up thinking that's the norm.
Mm.
So I couldn't get that dharana and I couldn't focus in dhyana at all. And I was like, wow, like I've come home and I can't meditate. I was so confused by that, that my mind was still active. And I put my head down, cried, and all of a sudden I hear this clear instinctive thing, just like, get your blue book, get your orange pen.
Mm-hmm.
And I had never opened this. It was so beautiful. It was like this beautiful, pristine thing. Now I've traveled all around the world, and they were just literally they wrote like reconstruct the mental mayhem. Drop it. And I'm writing with my own pen. I've stopped, like I've got snot all up my arms. I'm like, oh my God, someone's talking to me. I'm by myself in my Japanese studio apartment. Whoa. And I've just written, I'm gonna take you on a journey. I'm gonna take you on a ride. Feel the smoothness of this journey. No need to rush. And I'm like, oh my God, do they know I'm trying to rush this writing? I'm like, shit, these people are watching. They're watching me. No need to hide. Close your eyes now. Take it slow. Your physical body don't need to go, no. And they'll give me instructions. Chill out, baby. Relax your mind. Just enjoying this eternal ride. They were giving me my dhyana and how to get there. And then it became that song.
And now the world gets to see more of it.
They do. So it started, and Recognise being the second song, but that's a drum and bass tune, which is a big dance tune that will come out. And these things have taken 8-9 years to incubate. I've not pushed them. I've sung them at different yoga things. If it feels right. If it doesn't feel right, and I think that's the gift of what you're going back to, just that when you were saying about the money, and this blue book is not about the money. Like it's something greater than that. There's something. If it was about the money, I wouldn't have sat with it for 8 years. Knowing
Let's get it done. Let's capitalize on it.
No, I have to wait for the consciousness around to take the true meaning, to drink in the nectar of the lyric, to dwell in the understanding of what the words mean at a soul level. What's the point of singing to this song 8 years ago when it was like 2000? Okay, what was that years ago? I can't do the math. Whatever that is.
2008.
Thank you. 2008, right? That was when phones were like these little Nokia things that were small, and chicks were getting their hair straightened with the hair straighteners, and it was all about like just the latest type of coffees were coming out. People hadn't even turned to soy yet. So it was like, power and Bikram yoga were everywhere, like McDonald's, and it was like, how could they have drunk in the words of Journey? If I would have sung, I'm gonna take you on a journey, they would have thought, oh, it means a long drive. They're not going to think it's inside my third eye, So there comes a time when certain songs for certain eras are right. And I've had to wait 8 years. I think this will only be ready in the 9 months to make a baby, 9 years to make a blue book. Yeah, so it has to be ready to be birthed. And it's not about the money. If it's about the money, man, just call up Miley Cyrus and go do that, I think people deep down know it's what's true in terms of the artist's gift to nourish the soul. Because as the artist nourishes the souls of others, their soul is nourished likewise, because they deeply have that namaste, that understanding that I am you and you are me. And so like there are, I remember when Britney went on her massive thing and she was all like, commercial craziness, and you see what happened to her. She went straight down almost instantaneously because what she was giving was no longer congruent for her soul. So of course she's got to suffer. That's just the law of karma. If you're giving truth and love and beauty, what will you receive? Every artist that feels like, oh, I need to make money off this and that and da 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 da. First and foremost, do it for your soul. If it nourishes your soul, it will nourish the soul of others. And it doesn't matter how long it takes. Time and space is irrelevant. The ears, the eyes, the bodies, the souls are ready to receive. When they're ready to see your art, they're ready to listen or saturate themselves with your words of poetry and the divine. It'll never come a moment too late or a moment too soon.
I love it. What a gift. Thank you so much. I'm looking at it too. Thank you, everyone who's been watching this whole call.
Thank you, everyone.
I love you. Love getting to know you more. I'm looking forward to when we do meet in person. As we spoke about that, I used to live literally down the street from you. I used to have a business in the area. I used to go to Power Living. If we haven't actually met yet, it's a miracle.
Our souls have met. Our souls have met.
I've had people like that before where it's literally I've been there 5 or 10 minutes afterwards, and 5 or 10 minutes afterwards we've kind of been dancing around one another, and then all of a sudden it was like, oh, we're just in each other's life.
Shifts in the night, and I think I think that happens quite a lot with people. And I've noticed, like sometimes with that very my husband or partner, or whatever, I'll be like, I was at that party that you were at. Oh, you were there too. Oh wow, I didn't know you went to that. Oh yeah, I was at Prodigy. Blah blah blah. I'm like, oh really? Wow. It's like it kind of freaks you out because you realize that those soul groups, just like in the Celestine prophecies, like those soul groups, they do kind of circulate together. And then when we do meet and talk, it feels so familiar.
That's it. I talk about momentum. Momentum for me is like that. When you see birds in nature, how they move together. They're not trying to move. They're not like seeking of something or trying to prove how significant they are. Having the best day ever because they love flying.
They do, and fish do the same. Like there's this one that goes, and they all. And they feel it collectively. They go to that. We are no different to the birds, to the fish, to the trees, to the stars. Like human souls, we get to. We are doing that together. Like we are all in that directional shift and ascendant together. We can't help it. If one of us has looked up, bloody hell, the rest of us are going to have to. Take that, people.
So good. Such a pleasure to have you on here. I'm going to end it here, guys. If you made it all the way to the end, I'm proud of you. There's so many valuable insights, content. The thing I'd encourage you guys all to do right now is to receive the gift of Meera's energy, not just the words. You guys have made it all the way to the end. Receive that energy. That's what I do every time I chat with people. And that's a clue, guys. Just receive the energy of the gift. And we're going to receive the gift of who you are. Because we know you, we see you, we feel you. Even though this is in the now and you're watching this in the future, it's all the now. And we love you. Respect you, admire you. Thank you so much for being part of this conversation. Wishing you every success in whatever you choose to do. And I'll put some details about how you get in touch with Meera, just so you can, and how you can find her music and stuff, because it's how we love to share. Thank you so much, guys. This is it from Brock the Lifetarian. Bam.